Hi, and welcome back to the House of the Stag YouTube channel. We have confirmation. A Game of Thrones sequel about Jon Snow has been in development for quite some time now. Kit Harington wants to reprise his role and George R.R. Martin is involved too. George revealed this among other things in his latest Not a blog post. In this video, I want to take a look at this update and share my thoughts with you guys. As always, I'll focus on the most important parts. Let's do it. Here's what George wrote. Yes, there is a Jon Snow show in development. The Hollywood Reporter story was largely correct. Our working title for the show is Snow. There are 4 live-action successor shows in development at HBO. Work got out about 3 of them some time ago. 10,000 Chips, the Nymeria show, helmed by Amanda Segel. Sea Snake, aka 9 Voyages with Bruno Heller. And the Duncan Egg Show, the Hedge Knight or Knight of the Seven Kingdoms, with Steve Conrad writing. I think some of these were officially announced, in other cases news leaked out. Snow has been in development almost as long as the other 3, but for whatever reason it was never announced and it never leaked. Until now. Okay, that really came as a big surprise to me. We talked about this news in the podcast, but I didn't believe that it was actually real, and now a couple of days later, it still absolutely baffles me. All of the other potential shows George mentioned have source material, canon, to back it up. Sure, it's not always fully fleshed out, but we know the gist of it, and if a collective of people who understand this world work on it, I think original ideas can actually be very beneficial. It's impossible to be 100% faithful all the time, and that was always fine with me. I'm not saying everything has to be exactly the way it is in the books. There's entire characters that I think Game of Thrones handled better than George, and still, there's a big difference between implementing original ideas or creating fanfiction. There's an enormous amount of world building that is possible with the other shows in development, which is something that I would love to see. It's the chance for something new, the chance to redefine A Song of Ice and Fire on the screen. Whether it be following Corlys around the world during his voyages, or following Duncan Egg wandering through the kingdoms of Westeros, it will bring in some fresh air, which is the right way to start a cinematic universe in my opinion. Part of the reason why I'm so excited for House of the Dragon is that it seems to be a mix of all these things. A more faithfully adapted, character-focused fantasy drama written by people who understand the importance of character development. It's not mindless action fantasy with good guys fighting bad guys, and that is what makes this world so unique and fascinating to me. We of course don't know anything about the Jon Snow sequel yet. I'll make a separate video, speculating about what the story could look like, but the first thing that popped up in my head when I read this was, oh, okay, that's the Disney route. People like Jon Snow, so let's give them a Jon Snow show because it'll make money. I've always defended George a lot on this channel, but I don't understand him here. He allowed HBO to surpass his books and, despite the different journeys of the story, potentially let them spoil a good chunk of his plots. I made my peace with that. In some cases it's even fun to speculate. For example, what does Bran becoming king mean for his character in the books? Is that the bitter or sweet part of his bittersweet ending? What's going to happen with Bloodraven and the Children of the Forest? Stuff like that, but this takes it even further now. George is helping to create a fan fiction sequel to his own unfinished book series. Which brings me to my next point. The next part is where it gets really interesting. It seems as though Emilia Clarke has already mentioned that Snow was Kit's idea in a recent interview, so that part is out. Yes, it was Kit Harington who brought the idea to us. I cannot tell you the names of the writers and showrunners, since that part has not been cleared for release yet, but Kit brought them in too, his own team, and they are terrific. Various rumors are floating around about my involvement or lack of same. I am involved, just as I am with the Hedge Knight and the Sea Snake and 10,000 Chips and all the animated shows. Kit's team have visited me here in Santa Fe and worked with me and my own team of brilliant, talented writer consultants to hammer out the show. All 4 of these successor shows are still in the script stage. Outlines and treatments have been written and approved. Scripts have been written. Notes have been given. Second and third drafts have been written. So far, that is all. Okay, seems like whatever Kit and his team brought to the table was good enough for George to not only give his approval, but to help create it. While I don't understand George, I can perfectly understand Kit Harington. He loved this role, so much so that he went out of his way to bring in a team of writers and figure out how to do a Jon Snow sequel. I respect that. I imagine that the fan reaction to Season 8, especially for Jon Snow, could have gotten to him. If I were to play a beloved character for 10 years and all I hear or see after the story concluded are "I don't want it" memes, it would definitely get to me. Maybe he wants a better send-off now. This show certainly can't just fix everything that went wrong, but maybe it could leave a better taste for fans of this character. So yeah, I get all of that. And maybe it really is decent. I'm not ruling that out at all. I'm not trying to bitch about stuff we don't even know will for sure make it to the screen. I'm not trying to be that guy. It's just that for the first time since hearing about the plans for a Game of Thrones cinematic universe, it feels corporate. I truly believe that a Westeros cinematic universe can succeed. The world George created is very rich and full of amazing possibilities of storytelling that can be adapted. But honestly, I would hate for them to do what Disney does. I would love to see original stories, rather than returning to characters from the original show. You're just running the risk of choosing nostalgia over proper storytelling because let's pretend for a second here that Jon Snow beats the other scripts and gets greenlit. It would obviously be very successful. So what's next? A show about Arya Stark, west of Westeros? A retcon story of Drogon and Daenerys? A comedy show about Bronn ruling the Reach? Okay, the last one was a joke, please don't do that, HBO. Anyways, that's enough whining for today. Again, I'll sit down, think about it and look at the possible story of a Jon Snow show. You can expect that video soon. I'm just sharing my fears so I can have a discussion with you guys. For now, let's continue. If I may permit a moment of snark, damn, but those clickbait websites and podcasts annoy me. I did a long interview with The Independent in connection with the recent Santa Fe Literary Festival, in the course of which I remarked that the whole Battle of the Fantasy Giants stories about House of the Dragon and Rings of Power being in competition was wrong, that there was plenty of room for both shows to succeed, plenty of room for more fantasy and science fiction on television. Somehow 3/4 of the clickbait sites out there, ignoring the entire thrust of my comments, twisted my words on their head into headlines about how much I want to beat the Tolkien show. Let me clarify. I expect I will be watching Rings of Power when it premieres. I want it to be great. I want it to run for many years, to win Emmys and Golden Globes. And I want the same for House of the Dragon. Regardless of awards, I want both shows to find an appreciative audience and give them great television. Great fantasy. The more fantasy hits we have, the more great fantasy we are likely to get. Sadly, this is just how it is nowadays. Words get twisted. Headlines promise one thing and the article tells another. This happens everywhere, certainly a lot here on YouTube. Lord of the Rings versus Game of Thrones. Well, George is right here. I don't really understand why people are out there trying to create beef between the fandoms. I'm not that much of a Lord of the Rings fan and I don't know much about the world Tolkien created, but I watched those movies when I was a kid and I'm looking forward to the show. I don't care if it beats House of the Dragon in every category of every award show in the world. If both shows turn out great, we as fans are the true winners. Oh, by the way, I almost forgot. George talked about Winds of Winter. Yes, Winds of Winter. No, have not forgotten. I was back with Tyrion this past week. Anyways, that's all I have for today. Thank you guys for watching. Let's have a discussion down below. What do you think about a potential Jon Snow sequel show? Take care and see us later.